Welcome to Stellar Sisters, the podcast where cosmic wisdom meets soul-enriching conversation.
We explore astrology, human design, and the unique blueprint of your soul, helping you understand yourself on a deeper level.
Consider this your permission slip to embrace the magic of being authentically you.
Let's begin. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Stellar Sisters. Today we are talking about parenting with astrology and human design. And we are both obsessed with this topic. We could probably talk about it for hours and days on end. So maybe we'll make this into a little series or something. But today we just want to share a couple things about what you can look at in a chart that's helpful for you as a parent. And then we want to give some good examples of what's come up in our own lives when we've been parenting our own kids. So we're excited to dive into that. But before we get into the episode, Shaniel, how are you doing? What's going on right now?
I'm doing good. I am just like strapped in, buckled up for eclipse season coming up. So we're recording this like right before the first eclipse in Pisces happens. And I just feel like I can really feel like nothing major has shifted like personally in my life yet, but I'm just hearing like so much going on for like the people around me or people in my life or in the news. And I'm like, oh, it's the eclipse energy. It's that eclipse portal that we're entering. And so, it's going to pretty much be the whole month of September and even into October. So, it's just preparing for that and all the kind of shifts that are about to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, today is September 6th, and like the last week, I've already been not sleeping as great, or just waking up a lot, or like not being able to fall asleep for a while. And this always happens around the full moon for me.
Yeah.
Even my friends in high school would like make fun of me when I would bring that up. They'd be like, "Oh, the moon's affecting you." But like now as adults, they're starting to get it. Um, but like this has been my experience my whole life. But like during eclipses, it's like even more heightened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
Hmm.
And for me, it's across my sixth and 12th houses. And I definitely still have health stuff coming up. Even like 2 weeks ago, my daughter got sick with a fever, and then I got sick a couple of days later. And I'm still having like ongoing back and leg issues in between this. And then I started to get better from the fever. And then like 2 days later, I got pink eye. And this was all like, we're trying to get her ready for preschool and go to these different events. And I'm like trying to make sure I'm healthy enough to go to these events. And
Yeah.
it was just a lot.
So
Um,
much.
yeah, so hopefully that's gonna clear up a little and not continue to be like this snowball of health issues through eclipse season. I mean, I typically feel things and experience things like a little before the actual eclipses occur, so hoping
Hmm.
I'm staying on track with that.
Yeah.
And my daughter Faye started preschool this week, and the eclipses for her are her third and ninth house.
Yeah.
And the ninth house full moon eclipse is occurring in her ninth house in Pisces. And this week was her first week of school ever, like in her life. And she's just
Yeah.
thriving so much, like the ninth house, like higher learning. And it's been like really beautiful to watch her just like go to school and love it. Today's Saturday. She woke up and she was like, "Am I going to school today?" We're like, "No, not for a couple days." So
It's so sweet.
yeah, that's been a big positive for us from this cycle for her.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the eclipses are happening in Virgo, and she's a Virgo sun,
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
big, big shift for her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad
Yeah,
she's loving it. That is so
yeah,
wonderful to hear.
yeah, she's loving it. Any other big things you've observed? Or not really?
Hmm. Um, nothing yet personally. My Well, my partner, he's a Pisces rising, and so this is, you know, the full moon eclipse is happening in his first house, and
Yeah.
I feel like he's been really focused on his health and fitness and really wanting to kind of like revamp that. And so
Mhm.
that just feels very much like a first house eclipse, like doing
Yeah.
something like totally different that he hasn't done before and like making a change that way. So that's kind of, interesting and just a very good manifestation of a full moon eclipse in your first house of like
Hmm.
body and physical health. So,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
I love hearing the eclipse stories. So if you have a good one, message us, DM us, let us know what's going on in your life.
definitely. Definitely.
And if you missed our eclipse episode, go back and listen to that one because we feeling these energies like all month.
And we have horoscopes for every sign. So,
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's get into some parenting stuff. What do you feel like is the most important thing for someone to know about their kid in astrology?
oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I just want to say that parenting in itself is hard enough. It's so hard.
Mhm.
And I think having awareness of your child's birth chart and human design chart is so helpful and so useful to have because you can kind of have this like blueprint of what your child needs and how they operate and what their strengths are or what their challenges might be. And to just have some of that awareness around that for your child is so helpful as a parent.
Mhm.
Not that you are necessarily projecting those things onto them, but that you're able to kind of take a step back and observe your child and, you know, know like what their interests might be or what their strengths might be or what they might need or, where their challenges might be in school or otherwise.
Mhm.
Um, and so to just have these tools as a parent is invaluable. And I just think it's like raising children is the most important job in the world, in my opinion. And if we can have these like extra tools at our disposal to help us be better parents and to raise more aligned, aware children in the world, like what is more important than that?
Mhm. Oh
I,
my gosh. I mean, I completely 100% agree with you. It's just like I can't imagine not knowing what my daughter's astrology chart and human design chart is, so I can better support her and just also see like where we flow together and then where we might clash or where things might be a little bit of a struggle between us or between our energy in some way.
mm,
Um, so I think it's also like before you even look at your child's chart, hopefully you have some awareness and understanding of your own energy and your own chart and your own energetics and how they work. Um,
yeah.
because you really need to know that probably first before you actually dive into your kids' chart so you can figure out like what are the differences, what are the similarities, how can I support them in the best way?
That's so true. That's so true. I think because sometimes as parents, we might think that our kid is going to be just like us or like
Hmm.
operate the same way as us, and they might be very much like you in a lot of ways, but I'm sure that there are other ways that they're very different from you. And being able to know that and honor that is really important.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, when like looking at a birth chart, there are so many things, that I think are important. But one of the most important ones, in my opinion, is your child's moon sign, because the moon sign is how they feel nurtured and taken care of. And it can really describe and represent the early environment for the child and also describe how they perceive their parents, and sometimes especially mother, but it can be both parents. So that's one thing that I would look at first is the child's moon sign because um, it can just give so much context into like what they need fundamentally, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're a water sign moon, then they might need a lot of emotional nurturance and support. And, if they're a fire sign moon, um, they might need a lot of activity and action and, physical area to play and get their energy out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if they're an air sign, they might need a lot of intellectual stimulation and books and talking to them and being able to like talk through their emotions or how they're feeling. Um, and if they're an earth sign moon, like routines and
Mm-hmm.
structure and predictability might be really important for them. So that's just kind of like a one example of something that I think is really important when we're looking at a child's chart.
Mm-hmm. That's so it's just so interesting and it's just so crazy how like you can take just the moon sign from their astrological chart and then like you can look at their human design chart and see if they have their solar plexus defined or not. Like are they an emotional or are they unemotional? Do they have a lot of empathy there if it's undefined? Like are they taking on other people's emotions and kind of amplifying that or do they have an emotional wave? And like how is that corresponding to their moon sign? Um, just you talking like sets off so many like different areas I could go in with human design, but like you're talking about the earth sign moon and like needing structure and like routines and stability. Like you can just look at the arrows on your human design chart, like the four arrows, and if you have more of them pointing left, like you do need more routine and structure. If you have more pointing right, like you kind of need more of flow and kind of setting your own schedule and routines, and kind of
Yeah.
changing. So there's so many nuances. Like
Hmm.
if you have a Capricorn moon, like my sister, she comes to mind. She has a Capricorn moon and every single arrow is pointing left. So, like, she's someone who would really thrive on structure, routine, like doing the same thing at the same time, every
Yeah.
day, and
Yeah.
not having so much flow. And like just knowing those two things, it's like, it can be so crucial. Like, if you
Hmm.
have all of your arrows pointing right and you're more of a flowy person and just like kind of going with the day and what feels good, like someone with left that's not gonna feel good for them at all. Like they're gonna want their
Hmm.
structure and routine.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just so fascinating, so
Yeah.
interesting.
And I love having both the context of the birth chart and the human design chart
Yeah.
because like putting them together and getting kind of that maybe that extra layer of nuance from the human design chart, like after we've looked at the birth chart, is so helpful. And I
Yes.
know I've said this before, but like they always just reaffirm and like validate and confirm what each other is saying and even
Yeah.
give more context to it. So I think both are so important.
Yeah, they are. They're so important.
Yeah.
What else do you like to look at?
In a chart,
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, each chart is so unique, obviously, each birth chart, but I mean, I want to look at the rising sign, the chart ruler, the
hmm
sun. I want to know if any major outer planets are aspecting, the moon, the sun, the chart ruler, uh,
hmm
because that's going to, tell me a lot about the child, like my son has his natal sun conjunct Neptune, and it's in Pisces. So, in Pisces already has a lot of Neptune traits,
Yeah.
so I know that my son is going to be very perceptive, very intuitive, very like I wouldn't be surprised if he has psychic abilities. And maybe that's
Oh,
insane,
he definitely
crazy
does.
to say, but like, um, you know, he has that. And then and to just know that about him, he's very sensitive. And from the day that he was born, he's needed a lot of nurturing, a lot of closeness, a lot of just like presence for me, physical closeness with me. And
Hmm.
no, like looking at his birth chart, like that has also confirmed that, he is a very sensitive being.
Hmm.
And knowing that has directed my parenting and like, he was never an independent sleeper. He was never someone that wanted that kind of like, independence. He always needed a lot of closeness with me, which um I'm sure a lot of babies need that, but like him, especially in his chart, I know that he needs a lot of emotional closeness, and he also has a Cancer moon, so he's very
Hmm.
watery in his chart, and so that has kind of helped me know what he needs and or what I perceive his needs to be at least. Um, and then also in his human design chart, he has splenic authority, which is all
Hmm.
about the intuition and listening
Yeah.
to his intuition,
Hmm.
which is exactly kind of reflected in his birth chart, you know.
Hmm.
And I think he also has some other like gates and channels, and I'm sure you know.
Yeah. I mean, he has his ajna and throat defined, and then he has his G center and his spleen defined. So he has every motor and pressure center open in his whole chart. So like that consistent access to like creative life force and just like the pressure to do things, adrenaline, like that's all open for him. So he's can take in like when he's around, like I know Trevor, your partner, has a defined sacral, you have a defined root, you have a defined emotional center. When you're with Otto, you guys have a defined heart center, so when he's around you guys, he can pick up and amplify those motor centers, so it can make him he has a huge sense of empathy, but it can also make him just sensitive,
Mm,
more sensitive in general.
yeah.
Um, and he also has gate 57, which is the most intuitive gate in the whole body graph. Um,
Wow.
so he's super intuitive. And then he has channel 4323, which is the Genius Freak channel. I have this one too. I love this one. Um,
Mm,
and it's connecting the ajna to the throat, like right in the middle. So it's kind of like this channel there, and it's having intuitive insights, but then also being able to share those insights in like a clear, concise way. And where
mm,
like the freak part comes in is like if you're kind of sharing without being invited or just sharing whatever pops into your head and not like dumbing it down so it's like clear and concise. It can kind of sometimes come off as like, well, why would you say that? Like, that's weird, like you're weird.
yeah.
Like, I've definitely gotten that in my life, but like when that's used correctly, it comes off and it's like, oh, whoa, like wow, that's a really cool insight that you had.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter Faye has this, I'm like going off on a tangent, but my daughter Faye has this same channel too. And sometimes she'll say something, I'm like, how did you even think like to say that? And I'll just say, like, that was genius, Faye. And then so I've said that to her a lot, and she's gotten to a point where she'll just be like, I'm a genius. So if you have a kid with that channel, 4323, like it is a lot of creative, intuitive insights that are coming in. And like
Mm,
if you knew that they had that channel, you can hear them say something and be like, well, that's kind of weird. But
yeah.
also like, wow, like how did you even think to say that? Like that is kind of genius. So like if you're aware of that, you can be like, you can kind of do what I'm doing and being like, wow, that was really genius. Like
Yeah.
that's a great thing to think about or say. And you kind of start to nurture that energy. Whereas if you weren't aware, you'd be like, what are you saying? Like you'd be like, oh, don't say that, or and then you're continually like pushing that gift away. So like just
Mm,
having awareness of their channels and their gates is like huge too. So you can help them nurture these things instead of kind of like shoving it away. And last thing I
mhm.
want to say about gate 57, I mean, he has the whole channel 57 to 10, so it's connected to his G center and his identity, and 10 is all about self-love. Um, so just when he's in alignment with this, he's just going to have like this great love for life and for others and like a spontaneous intuition around physical safety and health and survival. Um, so, just really nourishing that. And like 57 is all about like future focused and having intuition about what's going to happen in the future. So
Mm,
like being able to nurture that and like recognizing that in him instead of being like, that's not going to happen or like, don't worry about that. Like it's
right.
such a huge thing to be able to know as a parent. But yeah, long story short, Otto is super intuitive.
Yeah. And see, I love how I can take just one aspect of his birth chart, Sun conjunct Neptune, know that he's a very intuitive person, and then I can go to you and be like, what does his human design chart say about that? And like, look at
Yeah.
all of that, like incredible nuance and detail, like
Yeah.
that his human design chart provides on top of that. It's just like so interesting. And I also
Hmm.
love what you said about, you know, I think having awareness around these things in a child's chart is you can nurture those things instead of dismiss them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because I think like in human design especially, we can condition these
Hmm.
things out of our children,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because that's not the norm or that's not the status quo. I think especially if you have a projector or manifestor or reflector child, because they are
Yes.
the minority and not the majority.
Hmm.
Um, it's like I think for me, finding out I'm a manifester, and probably for you as a projector, like there's a lot of deconditioning that we have to do,
Yeah.
because we found this out later in life. And
Yeah.
um, the more that we can help like our children to not be conditioned in that way, maybe the hope is that the less deconditioning that they would have to do as an
Yeah. 100% agree. I mean, and you're going to condition your kid to a certain extent, and they're probably going to start conditioning you in some way. So,
yes, I mean,
like,
there's no
you can't
perfection.
be perfect with it.
Yeah.
But yes, I think if you can have awareness, especially just even if you just know their type, like if you're a manifesting generator and you have a projector child, like totally different. It's so important to just even know what their type is or just their moon sign and their sun sign and like their big three in astrology.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, as a projector, I would definitely agree. Like I had to definitely go through a lot of deconditioning with just like working and working and working. Like both of my parents are sacral beings and like they have a lot of that power to continue and keep going. And I don't.
Hmm.
Like hit a certain point where like I need to rest, I need to stop, and as a 6'2", like that too, like I need my alone time. I need to be removed. Like it's tough for me to be around people all of the time.
Yeah.
Um, but just thinking back on my childhood, I would come home and sit on the couch and do my homework and like watch TV while I did my homework. And thankfully, my parents let me do that. Like I was getting my homework done, I did it pretty quick, and then I'd chill and watch TV like the rest of the night. So like
Hmm.
thankfully they were there and supported that, like they let me come home and kind of do what I wanted as long as I was getting my homework done.
Hmm.
Like if they would have forced me to go sit at the table, it probably wouldn't be, have been supportive. So like that's just one example I can think of where like my energy was definitely supported in that way.
Yeah.
But there's lots of times where like I was just like going, going, going and not knowing that like, okay, I need to stop, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um,
What
but yeah,
about in human design? Like I mean, obviously you
the
kind of
top.
talked
Yeah.
about the types and things like that, but what are some of the top things that you
So definitely just knowing your child's type, strategy, and authority are like the top things. Um, and just really knowing if your child is a sacral being or not, like we were just talking about, like if they're a generator or a manifesting generator, they're going to be a sacral being. And if they're a projector, manifestor, or reflector, they're not going to have their sacral center defined. So they are going to need some more rest and downtime in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, you know, if you have a manifestor kid, I think the biggest thing is to help model what it is to inform and like encourage them to inform. That can be a big thing for a manifestor. Um, and like a manifestor is super independent. Like they want to be independent, like doing their own thing, like supporting that in some way. Um, but sometimes it can feel hard to do that as a parent. Like it can feel like you just want to kind of control what the manifestor child is doing or
Mm-hmm.
like keep them safe. But as much as you can kind of let them lead in a way, can be really supportive for a manifestor
Mm.
kid. Um,
I can confirm I was a very independent child.
yeah,
But my mom was very, she, you know, definitely let me do my thing, which was nice.
that's great. And then like with a generator, just letting them try to push them towards what they love and what lights them up and like listen to their sacral responses if you can. If you have a man gen or a generator from a really young age, you'll be able to hear like what their sacral responses are. My daughter, when she was an infant, she'd be sitting in her chair and like we'd put something in front of her and she'd just be like she would moan like through the whole meal.
I
Like,
remember that. I
like she,
remember that. It
that
was
has
so
stopped.
cute.
Yeah, but like her healthy sacral was like responding to the food. Like she was excited to eat and she was just like, like just kind of mumbling and like saying like she was excited the whole time she was eating. Um, and with generators too, just giving them yes or no questions instead of open-ended, like, do you want pizza for dinner? Yes or no, you know, and like moving on so they can use their sacral response, like really helping them practice what that looks like because a generator can like people please and say yes to everything and like know that they don't really want to do it but just say yes because they have that consistent energy,
Mm-hmm.
but then they can reach this point where they feel super burnt out, like almost like they could be listening to what a projector is and almost feel like they relate more to that than a generator because they've just been using their energy on things that they hate for so like
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So if you can really nurture like only using your energy, I mean, I know that's not totally realistic, but like helping them use their energy on things they actually enjoy and not forcing them to do things that you can tell they're not into.
Mm-hmm.
And a manifesting generator, like what I said about manifestors and generators, but also manifesting generators like want to do a lot of different things. Like they'll move on from one toy to the next quickly. And like my daughter's a manifesting generator. She'll be doing an art project and then she wants to go build with her magnet tiles. And then she wants to go play with her bluey characters and then she wants to go outside. Like we're constantly shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whereas like my nephew, he's a manifester and he seems to be a bit more focused on like one thing for like hours. Like he can play with a toy for hours on end.
Mm.
Whereas Faye, like she'll switch a lot. Like there's definitely a difference there.
Yeah.
Um, So the biggest thing with manifesting generator kids is they can almost come off as like they're scattered or too much or like they're not able to focus on one thing, but that's like what their energy is meant to do. They're meant to have a lot of interests.
Yeah, that's their gift.
Yeah. So if you know that and you can nurture that, and this is just like your type, right? This is just the type in human design. There's so much to go into,
Yeah.
but this is like probably the most important thing I would say.
Yeah.
Um, And then projectors, like we kind of touched on this already, but just knowing that they need more downtime and they need rest. And I would say so projectors need to be invited, right? So I would say and recognized. The biggest thing you can do for a projector child is like recognize their insights when they're having um, some kind of like genius perspective because they can see like what is the most efficient way easily. Like they're meant to penetrate other people's auras, situations. Like they can just see the big picture really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of nurturing and recognizing their value and inviting them to share. And one huge thing with this, um, especially for you, Chanel, as a manifestor parent, a projector never has a motor connected to the throat. So at the end of the day, for the kid, it can feel like they want to talk and they want to share and like get everything out. Um, and if you can provide that, that's so helpful because when he's around you, he's going to have the emotional center connected to the throat center. So he's going to want to talk more and share more. So the more that you can like invite him to share his insights and just like get it all out, like the more helpful that's going to be for
I love
him,
that.
to use his energy correctly. Otherwise, it's going to feel like if you didn't invite him to share, it might just feel like he's like interrupting you while you're talking or like, oh, why is he talking again? Like, So the more
Yeah.
you can kind of nurture that, that can be super helpful.
And when you say when he's around me, and that's because you're looking at like both of our charts together, right? And
Yeah.
like the way that my defined emotional center going and my defined throat center interacts with his chart. So when we're in proximity to each other, like he can feel those centers that I have and they're
Hmm.
activating him in a certain way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And most likely, like most people he's around, he's probably going to have an activation from a motor to the throat. Um, like I can just speak from an experience as a projector. Like there are so many times I want to just talk and like say like why are you doing it that way? Like you should do it this way. But like if I haven't been invited to share or like sometimes people will invite me to share, but I can tell like it's not landing or it's not recognized really just by
Mm-hmm.
how like their eyes glaze over when I'm talking. If if it's not recognized, like the energy is just not going to be flowing correctly. Does,
Right.
does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes, totally. Yeah,
Okay.
totally. And
Um,
I think that that brings us to another point is in parenting is like not only looking at the child's chart, but looking at the child and parent chart together,
yeah.
and like that you do offer a human design reading that is like, what do you call it? Like a in astrology, we would call it like a synastry or like a
Yeah, it's called like a connection chart, but
connection chart.
I just call it like a reading for two because like you can go into the nuances of all the channels and how the channels connect to each other and like, what all of that means, but just looking at like are you a projector? Is your kid a manifester? Like just even that stuff and the profile numbers and
Yeah.
like
Even
just
just those basics provide
yeah.
so much information.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, one other thing before we get into that is I just want to say about reflectors. If you reflectors are so rare, but if you do have a reflector child, like the biggest thing for them is have making sure that they have an environment that feels calm and supportive and just giving them time to process their decisions. Like remember, they can take 28 days to actually process a decision. So if you
Mm,
can support that for them in some way, like that is going to be huge because the
yeah.
world is not set up to support a reflector taking like a month to respond to something, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing if you have a reflector child. Um, but yeah, do you want to say more about a synastry chart in astrology?
Well, I just think that that also is a good point, to know like how your chart is different from their chart or where
Yeah.
they connect,
Yeah.
like what I think is really interesting when I'm looking at my son's chart and my chart is his rising sign is at 15 degrees of Gemini, and my moon sign is at 15 degrees of Gemini, which
Mm,
is insane that
I
like
love that.
he was born at that exact moment, at that exact degree that connects exactly with my moon sign. Um, and I think it's so beautiful that that happened and really speaks to our connection.
Hmm.
And by the way, I also just think this is interesting that like I do find that a lot of signs are passed down through generations, and
Yes.
it's so beyond interesting to me, my son and I both have that Gemini connection. He's a Pisces sun, his dad is a Pisces rising. I'm a Libra sun, Capricorn rising, and my mom is a Libra sun, Capricorn rising. You're an Aquarius sun and your dad is an Aquarius sun. It's just like there's always
And
like something that
Faye
is
is
passed
a
down.
Cancer rising and a Cancer moon, and my husband's a Cancer, my mom's a Cancer.
Yeah.
My she's a Virgo sun and my dad's a Virgo rising. Like it's always like found either within the parents or like the grandparents. I feel like there's always a connection somewhere.
Yeah, always. It,
Yeah.
it really is true. And it's so interesting how they're passed down or and like it's almost like the kid inherits those qualities,
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah.
their parents or from their previous generations. Um but I think it's really amazing that my son and I have this connection, this Gemini connection, but also with that being his ascendant and my moon sign, I want to be very aware of like me projecting my feelings and emotions onto him, with
Oh.
that being my moon sign. And also like even though he's only a year and a half, but if my mood changes slightly, if I get slightly frustrated or stressed, he senses it immediately. And he looks at me and he's like, "Mama, Mama," you know?
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, and I don't know if other kids do that, because obviously he's my only child, but like, we're very connected that way, and he's very aware of my moods. And so I'm really trying to be conscious about like, not projecting my own like feelings and emotions on him. And what I think is so interesting is that is also reflected in our human design chart.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. So funny.
you know, um, in the way that they interact with each other. So we
Mm-hmm.
both have gate 36, which is in the emotional center.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that whole channel, uh,
Yep.
right? 30,
35 to
oh,
36.
35,
Yep.
35 to 36. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so in human design, right, that's a specific type of channel where like m- that channel, when we come together, kind of, maybe you can explain it better than
It's
I can.
so it's called a compromise channel. So when someone has just the gate, but then the other person has the channel, it's like that person who has the channel is kind of compromising that person's gate in a way, like that gift that they have there. Um, and since like yours is the throat to the emotional center, and this specific channel creates your emotional wave, and it's all about you sharing your experiences, your emotional experiences, like you actually voicing them and sharing them to like help yourself process your emotions, but then in turn, like also help others, come to realization about their emotions. Um, so Otto has gate 36, but he doesn't have 35. So it can kind of feel like, to him, it could feel like he's like taking on your emotions in a way and like doesn't know how to voice them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it can just be important to like explain to him like this is how I'm feeling, like it's you don't have to feel this way. This is
Mm-hmm.
like my experience, my feelings around it or like you don't even have to get that detailed, obviously, until he's older, but you can just be like, I'm feeling worried today, and it's not yours to take on. Like, let's go kind of clear out your emotions. And like
Yeah.
maybe he goes and jumps on a trampoline or whatever, to kind of clear out. Um, so just kind of like it seems like you're super aware of it, like just kind of seeing like, oh, like he's picking up on my mood. Like I'll just quickly explain like that's not his and we can kind of clear it out, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's just like so incredibly helpful to like be aware of as a parent to,
Yeah.
like um to know that like that's a capacity that we have, and like obviously I'm not going to be perfect at it, but
Yeah.
it's just like I hope it will be really helpful in like how I navigate our relationship, especially as he gets older, and like,
Hmm.
telling him these are my emotions and this is how I'm feeling, but how are you feeling? Like that,
Right.
and it's different.
Yep.
And I just like, isn't that so invaluable as a parent? Like,
It's just,
don't you wish that like you had a parent that was
yeah.
like aware of these things growing up and like how
Yeah.
different your like conditioning, could
Hmm.
have been? And that is not a dig whatsoever
No.
to like our parents or, anything like that. But it's just when we have these tools now, like why not use them to the
Yeah.
best of our ability,
I know. It's such a gift. And like I think it's just such a gift when someone's having a baby, like to gift them this if they're into it and open to it, like to gift them a reading around it, a human design and astrology reading so they can like get to know their own energy better and their child's energy better. Um, and one other thing I want to ask you actually about this, about the just compromised channel. Like you are compromising him with that channel, but you
Hmm.
guys also have a compromised channel of 5710, which I was talking about earlier, that intuitive gate 57. You have gate 10.
Mm.
He is compromising your gate 10 with 5710.
Mm.
Um, so I just wonder, like in a healthy way, if your intuitive abilities can almost be heightened when you're around him, like when you're together.
Mm. Yeah.
So, and I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you have been a little bit more intuitive since you gave birth to him. Um,
The
like,
weirdest thing happened. I texted you when this happened, but it was so weird. I was just like randomly thinking about this old ring that I used to wear, this
oh
like
yeah.
beautiful, like old turquoise ring that I used to wear. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen that ring in so long. I wonder where that is. Literally later that day, Otto is digging through one of the bathroom cabinets and he turns to me and he has that exact ring in his hand, like handing it to me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Oh my gosh.
how? Like it was so weird. Like, and there have just been like weird things like that, that have happened. And it was just like really weird. But yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Super interesting how it's all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on in astrology?
Um, I mean, not necessarily off the top of my head. It's just like, it's just so interesting,
I know.
like if your child has a strong Uranus placement, like Uranus conjunct the sun or even like squaring the sun or opposing the sun. They might be a kid that needs to really march to the beat of their own drum and, like do something different or go against the grain. If they have
Mm.
like a Pluto transit or, a Pluto, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? A Pluto connection in their chart, like, Pluto opposing the sun or the moon or squaring the sun or the moon, like they might be they might need a lot of depth and emotional intensity and or emotional highs and lows and constantly like excavating those emotions from themselves. And so
Mm.
it's just um these are the things that like are so important. Or I think if they have like a Saturn in the third house or like Saturn conjunct Mercury or something like that, maybe they might be a little bit slow to start
Mm.
speaking, or they might have a little bit more trouble, um, in school or be like maybe slow to warm up in school or slow to learn, and maybe they need a little bit extra time and, um, patience or help around that area, 'cause,
Mm,
and that could be really interesting.
that's huge. I feel like just looking at where their Mercury is, like in the sign and the house and what it's aspecting, like that's such a big key to unlocking like how they communicate and how you can try to help them and support them communicate,
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think when they're little and when starting school, that can be really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. Or I mean, even when they're a little bit older and they're like thinking about what they want to do, you can look at their astrology chart and see what their strengths are.
Mm,
See where their midheaven is. Where is the ruler of their midheaven? Where is the ruler of their ascendant? Where is their sun? What is their kind of like big picture purpose? And that can maybe help them like go in the right direction or point them in the right direction on their career or, what do they want to go to college for? There's so much there that can be
yeah.
said in the chart.
Ugh, I love. Well, so do like phase or Otto's chart as an example. Can you?
Um, yeah, so I think Faye has I think her midheaven is in Pisces, isn't it? In the ninth house. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it is.
And then Jupiter is ruling that, which is in Jupiter's in the 10th for her.
Yeah, which is a very, lucky placement for her. And I think she might even have Neptune there. Let me pull up her chart really quick. Um,
Yeah, she probably has Neptune in Pisces. I can't remember.
Yeah, she actually has Neptune exactly conjunct her MC. So they're both at 24
Oh
degrees
my gosh.
Pisces. So I guess our kids have a Neptune theme, but this is a, very intuitive, compassionate, emotional, empathetic kind of direction for her career.
Hmm.
Really, she's a Virgo, but her Mercury actually is opposing Neptune. And she has
Hmm.
Mercury in Virgo, so it's opposing Neptune. So even though she has this Virgo Mercury, she also has this very like intuitive aspect to it because Virgo is very like facts and analytical and order and structure.
Yeah.
But like she has the strength of that, but also with kind of like an intuitive depth to that,
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, so like Neptune in the career, like something that is very creative, something that is very artistic, something that is very
Mm.
intuitive, something, that is very compassionate. And then with the ruler of her MC is Jupiter in the 10th house. Um, that's like her career is going to be very important to her. She's going to be like a prominent figure. Her public life and her professional life are going to be, very prominent in her life. And it is Jupiter, which is a very positive sign. So it looks like there is going to be some sort of like bigness, to her career. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And she's a Cancer rising, Cancer sun. So the chart ruler is in the first house. So,
Cancer moon.
oh, Cancer moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cancer rising, Cancer moon. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and so her chart ruler is the first house. So, you know, that could be her as like a figure, like her being in the spotlight somehow, or
Oh my
her sense of
gosh.
identity, or her sense of self, being very important to kind of cultivate that and, maybe use that in some way in her career. But it's very interesting.
Wow. What am I gonna do as a projector mom? It's already hard enough to keep up.
I know, right?
Luckily, my husband's a manifesting generator, so
Yeah.
he is on her level.
Yeah, he has the energy.
Yeah. But that's so exciting. I can't wait to see what she becomes,
I know.
what
Yeah,
she's
that
into.
Neptune exactly conjunct the MC is very interesting, very creative.
Yes. Yeah, she has a lot of creativity in her human design chart too.
Mm.
Like she has channel 8 to 1, and that's like one of the most creative channels in the whole chart.
Ooh, I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's the channel of inspiration. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Neptune does trine her moon too. Um,
Mm,
that Neptune is trining her Cancer moon. Neptune is at
yeah,
24 and Cancer is at
23,
26, I thought.
26.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
unless I have the time wrong.
No, I think you're right. Like I also love to look at the profile numbers in human design.
Hmm.
Just like that can tell you so much too, and especially about how they learn.
Oh my
Just
God, it was so helpful.
yeah, just with the 1, 2, and the 3, and if they have a 6, it's acting as the 3 until they're 30. So every profile is going to have, one of those numbers in it. Um, but the 3, it learns through trial and error and getting their hands dirty, and they have to like do something with what they're learning, and
Mhm.
learn from their mistakes. So it can feel hard for them when they make a mistake, but like really it's just like a learning experience and what did they learn from that? And the 3s can also come off in school as like a little bit more rambunctious or kind of getting into trouble in a way, but they're just learning through doing instead of sitting at a desk all day.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the 2 is the natural, so they're just naturally good at certain things. So if you can kind of see what your child's naturally good at and call it out for them and, just have them even teach you what it is that they're good at, that'll solidify what they're learning in some way.
Mhm.
Um, the 2 kind of has a blind spot and they can't always see what they're good at. So if you can see that and call it out, um, my daughter has gotten into puzzles and she's doing like jigsaw puzzles and like just figuring it out on her own. And it's insane to watch it. And I'm just like, yep, all right, show me where this piece goes. And like she'll find it right away. It's insane.
Yeah.
She's a
And
2/4.
yeah, she's a 2/4, yeah.
Yeah. And then just the 1 is the investigator and wants to know all the information and ask a lot of questions. And like my nephew's a 1/3 and he's just like super into specific things. Like he wants all of the cars, like investigating all of the cars, like into that like one topic and that thing. Um, and they need to feel like they have enough research around some things. Like if you have a one child, like really telling them all the information about like the sport that they're going to do before they go do it, like that can be helpful. Um, so just knowing those profile numbers is like so big. That's kind of what their
Yes.
personality is like.
So helpful. And we do have a whole episode on the profile numbers and
Yeah.
where you do talk a little bit about each one as children and what they need, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite episodes
Yeah, I
because
love that
it's
one.
so interesting and so helpful.
Yeah. And then lastly, I would look at what their diet is. What their diet in human design is. That can be super supportive even from infancy and from a baby because it's the way that they digest food in the most supportive way for them and the way they digest information and kind of that also shows you how they learn, like what environment can be good learning for them.
Mm.
I actually think we should probably do a whole episode on all the different diets in human design.
Yeah, I would love that.
Because it's just so huge. Like you have hot thirst, right?
Hot food, I thought.
Hot.
Is it hot thirst?
It's called hot thirst. It just means that you should have hot food and hot
Yes,
drinks.
that's what I have. And that's
Yeah,
what
Otto
Otto
has it
has too.
too.
Yeah, yeah, we both
Yeah,
have the same.
yeah. I have cold thirst, so I have the opposite. I always have ice in my drink. Yeah, and
I
Chanel
hate
likes.
ice water. I
Yeah, it's
hate
like
it.
when we're together. Our other friend too, I think she has hot thirst too, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look at her chart. But like Chanel will always pull like the bottle out of the fridge and like leave it on the counter, and I'm like, I need the water cold. Like, or just like adding ice to it. So it's just so funny. But yeah, as a kid, like someone with hot thirst can thrive off of like a warmed up bottle of milk, or, having breast milk, like very from an early age. And then also, and someone with cold, like a kid might just want it room temperature, or like even chill, like they might be fine with drinking like chilled breast milk too, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but also, what's super interesting about the diet is like when they're learning, people with thirst need to be in a comfortable environment temperature wise. So, like, whether that's a little maybe hotter for you, I don't know, or like I need it to be cold when I'm sleeping, when I'm learning. Like, if it's too hot, like if it's like a notch above where I'm comfortable, like I immediately am like, oh, I'm so hot. Like, I can't think, I can't do anything. Like, it really
Yeah.
affects me.
Yeah.
Um, so, I don't know if you resonate with that, Chanel, but like, do you resonate with like needing a comfortable temperature to like learn,
Yeah. Well, I think
to
I
take in
mean,
information?
yeah, I mean, but I guess who doesn't? Or maybe
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that like I think everybody else like the same way as I do,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Trevor likes it pretty cold and like he'll have the AC on and I'm constantly turning the AC off because I'm like, it's too cold in here. And he's
That's
like,
so
I'm
funny.
hot. And I'm like, no, it's too cold in here. Like we need to turn this
Well,
off.
there it is. That's exactly it. Yeah, so like that's just one example, but there are 12 different types of diets that you can have in human design. So that's just, I think it's so important to know which one you have.
You
And
know
some,
what's super interesting
hmm,
is that Otto has the hot thirst or hot food or whatever it is, and he wouldn't eat ice cream for the longest time. Like all summer, we were trying to get him to like take a bite of ice cream, and he would like feel the coldness and be like,
no.
and he
Wow.
just recently started taking like a couple bites of it, but he's still not huge into like eating ice
Interesting.
cream because it's cold.
Yeah, people with hot thirst want like warm soups and like warmed up food, and it's easier for them to digest it when it's been warmed up.
Yeah.
As like a cold thirst, like they like crudité platters and like vegetables that are just like I love just eating like carrot sticks or cucumber from the fridge.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
almost like annoyed sometimes I have to wait for it to be warmed up. Or like my husband also has hot thirst and he will eat the food like right when it's done. It's like piping hot and I can't even eat it until it's like kind of come down. Not, I don't like if it's a warmed up meal, like I'm not saying like I'm waiting for it to be cold, but like I can't have it piping hot like he can. Like I need it to be
Yeah.
warm, like it's
Yeah.
too hot for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I kind of run hot as a person, and I kind of need the cold as like a medicine of the opposite.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
like you're saying you're always cold, like you need the warmth. It's kind of like it's the opposite.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super helpful.
But yeah, I mean, we could go on 1,000 tangents all day long.
I know.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Is there any like kind of like cool insight or anything that you like maybe have gotten from like looking at your chart and face chart?
Um, yes. One thing that always comes to mind with this is the going back to the profile numbers. Like I'm a 6'2". My I feel that too so strongly. Like I definitely need my downtime to myself, like that natural hermit time. And she's a 2'4". And even from when she was little, like I could just tell when it was like time for her to take a nap, like the two, like was just kind of like wanting that downtime.
Hmm.
Um, and just observing her as a 2'4", like she's so outgoing, but she also has this like shy and reserved and like full of discernment side to her with the two.
Mm-hmm.
But then once she warms up, like she is all that the four. Like she's wanting to connect and like have you in her inner circle. And since she's a Cancer rising and a Cancer moon, like I think that even facilitates the four even more, like loving her community, family, like whoever is in her inner circle, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but she is the two is first for her. So the two is going to come more naturally to her than the four is. And I
Mm.
definitely observe her like just like the other night she came home from school and she's like straight to bed. Like she didn't even want to take a shower or anything or brush her teeth. Like she just wanted to go straight to bed because she was so tired. Like she's able to honor like herself and her own like
Yeah.
downtime that she needs.
Yeah.
And I feel like since I'm a 6'2", like I feel like I'm so aware of it and I can nurture the two in her and I'm aware of her four, so I know that she needs that connection. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's like besides her type and authority, like that is one of like the biggest things that it has been like super easy for me to observe and help and support. And then also just her being a manifesting generator and me being a projector. Like I know she has a lot more energy naturally, and it's really helpful if she moves her body. Like even she has this little trampoline we just got her. If she just goes and jumps on the like she'll naturally stop jumping and like be good, and then she'll like go chill. Uh,
Yeah.
and then another thing is so helpful that I don't think we really touched on much, but is authority. And we both have the same authority. We both have emotional authority. And I find that that's helpful that we have the same authority because I know what emotional authority is like. And she does have
Mm-hmm.
a defined sacral, so she can make those small yes or no decisions, and it's helpful. Like if I'm like, "Do you want mac and cheese for dinner?" Yes or no. But like she has the subtle emotional wave, whereas I have like the biggest wave that you can have. And I have two emotional waves, and they're both different than her. So like, and then my husband has another emotional wave, so we're just like all these emotional waves. And I think that that's so helpful to know is that she has the same authority. We all have the same authority. So like we all need time to make decisions, like big decisions and process our emotions and make sure we're at a neutral in our wave.
Mm.
Um, if we had different authorities, it'd be a different story. Or yeah, authorities.
Yeah.
That's just really super helpful for me to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Definitely. I love that. So helpful. Yeah. Otto is a 6'2",
Hmm.
but knowing that like he's going to be acting like a 3 until he's 30 is like really helpful.
Hmm.
And yeah, he just, I mean, like gets into every possible little nook and cranny in the house. He wants to explore everything. He wants to do everything. He wants to touch everything. Which I'm sure is normal for a toddler. But
Yeah, but I think with that three line, it's like even more like what you're saying, and just me observing my nephew, like he is just so much more hands-on than like Faye was. Like she never cared about touching an electrical socket or like, some kids will play with the dog water bowl. Like she was never like wanting to, get into everything. You know what I
oh,
mean?
the
And
dog
maybe
water bowl is Otto's favorite toy.
no, like I think it's a three line thing. Like they
Yeah,
have to be hands-on, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, Otto is very much hands-on with absolutely everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and then with Faye, like her Virgo sun, she is so just organized, I guess, or neat. Like she hates having her hands dirty. And I don't know if all kids are like she hates being messy or having her hands dirty or like she'll notice like the smallest little speck of like dirt on where she's sitting and she's like this needs to be like taken care of or like Sky needs to eat this crumb, like our dog Sky.
Yeah.
Um so it's just so funny to observe those Virgo qualities in her, you know?
Whereas my son, the Pisces, literally puts his hands in cottage cheese and yogurt and puts it in his
Nope.
hair and all over his face, all over his chest. I mean, like he needs a full bath after every meal because
Yeah.
he's so messy. So I don't relate to that at all. That makes no sense
But
to
it's so funny the differences. Like, she is such a clean kid. Her clothes were always so clean as a child. Like, I feel like only a couple things I had to get rid of because they had a stain. Like,
Yeah, I don't relate to
yeah,
that.
that's the difference, though. It's,
Yeah, so funny.
I'm blaming the sun sign.
Yeah, I mean, they are opposite suns.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting, so funny. Yeah. And I mean, even just going back to like Otto has a lot of water in his chart, like he's a very
Mm,
emotional, intuitive kid, but then he also has this Gemini rising, which is ruled by Mercury and Aries. So like even though he's like so emotional, intuitive, empathetic, he also has this very like intellectual side and like
mhm.
very curious side and very like wants a lot of information. Like reading books is like his favorite thing to do in the world. Like he's
Aw.
constantly bringing me books saying, open, open, and like really wants to learn a lot. And so, I mean, even just going down to the basics of the birth chart is like, what are the dominant elements, there
Mm,
in the chart? Um,
yeah.
he has a lot of water, but then he also has this like air that's ruled by this Mercury in Aries, which is a fire sign, which is very quick moving. And, so even just going down to like the basics, fundamentals of that can be really interesting. And then you can also
Yeah.
compare it to your own chart because I don't have like any water in my own chart personally,
Mm,
you know? Um,
yeah. That's huge.
and he is like very much all water. So I think I am really kind of working on like slowing down and getting into my feelings and emotions and recognizing them more, especially when I'm like with him and relating to him.
Mm,
Um, so that even just like looking at that basic elements in the chart can be really helpful.
yeah. I have literally no fire. Like, I'm mostly earth and air, a little bit of water. But Faye has water and she has Jupiter and Venus in fire signs,
Hmm.
so yeah, she's adding some fire into my
Yes.
life. Uh,
Yeah. Well, we could go on and on, I'm sure. But we should probably wrap it up there for now. But
yep.
like you said, this can probably be an ongoing series and something that we're even talking about doing specific readings for parents that want help looking at their child's birth chart and human design chart because it truly is so invaluable. And
Hmm.
just like I can't imagine being a parent without these tools and having the awareness around them. Um, and something that I wish all parents had. I wish my parents had, growing up. So we're working on that. So stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. And if there's anything specific you want us to talk about in terms of parenting, reach out and let us know. There's so many different like rabbit holes we could go down.
Mhm.
Or just any topics in general that you want to hear from us. We'd love to know. So DM us, send us an email. And if you love this episode or other episodes, we'd love if you could rate and review us. That helps us get the podcast out there. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.